I never thought a simple evening at home could shatter my world, but that night proved me wrong. The faint sound of laughter carried through the thin walls of our living room. A sound I had always associated with warmth, comfort, and love. Tonight, it felt like knives twisting in my chest. I froze mid-step, realizing the laughter wasn't coming from a show or the neighbor's apartment. It was coming from inside our home. I crept toward the slightly ajar door of the study, the one my wife Clara had insisted on using as her girls' night hangout once a week. I wasn't supposed to be there. I was supposed to be out running errands. But something in the pit of my stomach had gnawed at me all day. A vague unease I couldn't shake. And now listening, I understood why. And he actually thought he could pull that off? Clara's voice cut through the room, sharp and mocking. Another laugh, more high-pitched and cruel, joined hers. I mean, seriously, have you seen him try to dance? It's like watching a giraffe on roller skates, one of her friends jeered. I pressed myself closer to the door, my hands shaking, heart hammering against my ribcage. It wasn't just teasing, it was brutal, humiliating. They weren't laughing at something harmless. They were laughing at me, at my dreams, my quirks, my life. And did you see how he looked when he wore that suit last week? Clara snorted. I swear it was tragic. Pathetic. He actually thought he looked good. The words hit me like a freight train. Tragic. Pathetic. My wife, my partner, the woman I trusted above all else, was dissecting me, laughing at me, and sharing it with people I barely knew. Every memory of shared jokes, whispered confidences, late-night talks, felt tainted now, as if they'd been lies wrapped in warmth. I didn't remember how long I stood there, silently absorbing their cruelty, but by the time I blinked, something inside me had broken. A combination of rage, humiliation, and heartache welled up, threatening to spill over. I wanted to storm in, to yell, to demand explanations, but something stopped me. Part of me still hoped it was a nightmare, a misunderstanding. But deep down I knew it wasn't. When Clara finally noticed me peering through the crack, her eyes widened, not with guilt, but with that cold, calculated panic people wear when they're caught red-handed. What are you doing here?" she stammered, though the laughter from moments ago still lingered in her expression. I didn't answer immediately. My voice, when it came out, was tight, brittle, trembling. I heard everything." Her friends froze. One of them tried to chuckle nervously, but it died in her throat. Clara's mouth opened and closed, searching for something. An excuse, a lie, anything. But I already knew there was nothing she could say. It's just joking around," she finally managed, voice weak, attempting to sound casual. "You're too sensitive." I laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. Sensitive? Clara, you weren't joking. You were tearing me apart. You and your friends, laughing at me as if I didn't even exist. That's not joking. Silence. Only the faint ticking of the wall clock filled the room, echoing my heartbeat. I walked past her, each step heavy, deliberate, my hands shaking but my resolve solidifying. Do you even know what it feels like to hear the person you love mock you behind your back? To hear your most private fears and insecurities turned into entertainment? Her eyes flicked away, avoiding mine. It's not what you think," she whispered. But I knew it was. I had known from the first sneer, the first cruel laugh. The signs had been there for months. The subtle smirks when I shared something personal. The eye rolls when I tried to be romantic, the growing distance in her touch. I had ignored them, told myself I was imagining things. Love is blind, they say, but I had been blind not to betrayal. That night, we didn't sleep in the same room. I lay awake on the couch, staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying every laugh, every word, every smirk. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was a gut punch to my self-worth. I had trusted her with my heart, my soul, my vulnerabilities, and she had sold them for amusement. In the days that followed, our marriage began to unravel. Conversations turned into arguments, and arguments dissolved into cold silences. She tried to apologize, tried to explain, but every word felt hollow, rehearsed. I wanted to scream, to demand she understand the depth of the pain she had inflicted, but words had no power anymore. Actions, or betrayals, had spoken louder. One evening, I found her sitting at the kitchen table, staring blankly at her phone. I had spent hours trying to reconcile, hoping for a glimmer of the woman I had fallen in love with, but she seemed different. Foreign even. Clara, I said, voice low, almost a whisper. Do you even care about us? About what we had? She looked up, eyes glossy but not with remorse. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't think it mattered, she admitted, her tone casual, as if she were discussing the weather instead of the destruction of my heart. I felt something inside me snap, a quiet but irrevocable end. It mattered. It mattered more than anything. But you made me a joke. And I can't do this anymore. The silence that followed was suffocating. Neither of us moved, the weight of years of love and trust and shared dreams pressing down like a physical thing. I realized then that some wounds aren't visible, but bleed just as deep. Betrayal like hers didn't fade with apologies. It lingered, infecting every memory, every laugh, every touch. Weeks later, we filed for separation. Friends and family asked why, tried to mediate, but no explanation could capture the heartbreak, the slow erosion of trust. Clara moved out, taking her laughter and her cruelty with her. The house felt empty, hollowed out by betrayal. I walked through the rooms, touching surfaces that had once held warmth, now cold and unfamiliar. And yet, even in that emptiness, I began to understand something profound. Pain, as sharp and consuming as it was, could be a teacher. It forced me to confront my vulnerabilities, my need for love, and my boundaries. It made me realize that respect and empathy are the foundation of any relationship, and without them, love can crumble in an instant. I don't know what Clara thinks of me now. Perhaps she never realized the depth of the wound she inflicted. Perhaps she never cared. But I do know this. I survived the betrayal, and in surviving, I discovered my own strength. The man she mocked, the man she laughed at, was still here, scarred perhaps but unbroken. Sometimes, late at night, I can still hear that laughter echoing in my memory. It stings, but it no longer defines me. That pain, that betrayal, was hers to bear, not mine. And for the first time in months, I feel a flicker of hope, not for her, but for me, and the life I still have to rebuild.